It's really hurtful when your husband gives you the silent treatment. Instead of feeling understood, you feel shut out, ignored, wondering what you did wrong. But here's what you may not realize. Not all silence means the same thing. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why your husband may be giving you the silent treatment, so you know how to respond to him in a way that actually protects your relationship instead of making the disconnection even worse. The first reason he might be giving you the silent treatment is that he's actually struggling to regulate his emotions. Now, before you think, Parisa, are you saying that this is okay for him to do just because he has difficulty regulating his emotions? I'm going to stop you there and I'm going to say absolutely not. Nothing excuses the silent treatment in a marriage. Regardless of why he might be doing this, you're right to be upset and hurt over it. But the reality is you have a problem on your hands and you need to figure out how you want to resolve this issue. And to resolve it, you need to understand where it's coming from so you can actually tackle it at the root. Let me explain this with an example. Let's say the two of you go to a party. Maybe your husband doesn't feel included. Maybe something happened between the two of you that kind of bothered him or hurt him. On your end, everything looks normal. Then you come home, you ask him how he enjoyed the party, and then he just responds with one-word answers. Keeps it short. You're looking at him, he doesn't seem to be in a good mood. His face says it all. He may even look more frustrated and distant. From your perspective, it may feel like he's giving you the silent treatment. And of course, perception is reality. Naturally, your mind goes on high alert, starts overthinking. You're sitting there thinking, why won't he talk to me? Did something happen at the party? Did I do something wrong? That's the exact moment you're feeling shut out. But what's happening inside of him might be completely different from what you're imagining. He is emotionally overwhelmed. He's hurt. He's probably replaying everything that happened in that evening in his mind. He's emotionally activated and ruminating about things. Because he doesn't have the skills to express himself accurately and not knowing how he should deal with the emotions that he's experiencing in that moment, he's kind of shutting down. So on your end, it may feel like silence. On his end, it's emotionally flooding and emotionally feeling overwhelmed. Instead of him saying, you know what, I felt a little bit left out when you were talking to your friend the whole night, he goes quiet. Or instead of saying something happened tonight that really hurt me, he's emotionally withdrawing. Not because he intends to harm you or hurt you, but because this is the only way he knows how to cope with his feelings. Sometimes he doesn't even know what he's feeling in that moment. He just knows something feels wrong. Or sometimes he doesn't have the emotional language to express it. He may even believe if he shares that with you, you won't understand him. Or it will simply turn into another argument. So staying quiet for him feels safer than being vulnerable and stirring the pot. Let me know in the comments, do you feel like this might be happening in your relationship? If so, comment yes below the video. I want to hear from you. Now, of course, I'm not saying this is a healthy way of dealing with things, but it's psychologically safer for him. And that's where conflict happens, because he's sitting there trying to cope with his emotions, and you're sitting there feeling completely upset, shut out, and frustrated. Now, here's what actually happens next. You can tell something's off. So you start asking him, are you okay? He says, I'm fine. But you know he's not fine. You ask him, did I do something wrong? Can you just tell me what's wrong? And you start explaining yourself because you're thinking, if I just clear this up, we'll go back to normal again. But remember what's actually happening for him. He's overwhelmed. He's emotionally flooded. He's already trying to manage emotions he doesn't fully understand. So every additional question you're asking him, every attempt at reconnection will actually start to feel like pressure to him. Not because you're doing anything wrong, because in that moment, he doesn't even have the capacity to process his own emotions and have a productive conversation at the same time. So what does he do in response to you? He withdraws even more. He gives even shorter answers or stops talking altogether. In that moment, you're feeling completely ignored. Feeling like this is super unfair. Here I am trying to make an attempt to repair things and he's just pushing me out. He's shutting me out. You feel even more hurt. You feel even more anxious and you feel very helpless. Now, the more you feel these feelings, the more emotionally activated you get. And the more you may try to pursue him for answers, or sometimes you may even completely shut down too. You're like, if you're gonna withdraw, I'm also gonna withdraw. I'm not gonna talk to you. But that doesn't really even help the disconnection. Everything you do is just making it worse. Now, the best thing you can do in those moments is just to take a step back. Saying something like, listen, I want to talk to you. I know you're probably emotionally overwhelmed and I'm going to give you some time to decompress. And then you can tell me when you're ready and we can have a conversation. This way, you're also putting the onus back on him to come and talk to you. But to go back to the main point, when you start pursuing, he starts withdrawing. The more you pursue, the more he withdraws in those moments. And before you know it, the next time you talk, you're not even talking about the original hurt. You're going to talk about the fact that he's shut you out and it's very hurtful. So it's a new topic, a new point of tension. And that's how this pattern starts to get worse, because now you have two arguments that you need to tackle. The first argument was the original hurt. The second issue is the fact that he's not talking to you and has shut you out. That's how this pattern keeps hurting your relationship. Not because either of you wants more distance, but because neither of you understands what's actually happening beneath the surface of these conversations. Eventually, maybe it's the next day, maybe it's 2 or 3 days later, his nervous system settles down, he starts talking again, maybe he's even acting like nothing happened. From his perspective, his feelings passed. He's moved on, but nothing was actually resolved. You never found out what hurt him. He never learned how to express it. Your hurt from being shut out was never addressed either. So both of you move on carrying a little more resentment than before. Then another disagreement happens, another disappointment, another misunderstanding, and the exact same pattern repeats itself. And that's why this becomes so painful over time. It's not just one episode of silence. It's that every episode leaves both of you feeling a little bit more disconnected than the last time. Now, if you're realizing that this has become a pattern in your relationship, you keep having the same argument, the same periods of silence, and just feeling that you're just not getting through to each other, then you absolutely need to take my Conflict to Reconnection mini course. After taking this course, you'll stop having the same arguments over and over again. You'll be able to stay calm in arguments, know exactly what to do when conversations go off track, and have conversations where both of you feel more connected and understood. You can take the course at parisacounseling.com/forward-relationship course, or take it from the link right in the description below the video. Now, the second reason he may withdraw is not so much that he's trying to emotionally regulate himself. It is a bit of a more sinister reason. And that's using silent treatment as a way to have power, leverage, and control over you. I really hope you're in the first category, because if you're in the second category, your job will be a lot harder. So this type of silent treatment is very intentional. This is when silence becomes a way to punish you and get their way. Instead of taking space because he's feeling overwhelmed, he uses silence to make you feel more anxious, guilty, or responsible for fixing things. Let's say both of you are out there furniture shopping, and then you tell him something simple. You know what? I don't really like the bed that you're recommending. I'd rather go with this bed set. And you come home, he stops talking to you, he's not responding to you, and you're sitting there wondering what happened. And in the end, he may say, you know what, I'm really offended that I'm not being taken into account. You don't listen to me. Everything is about you and what you want. What about my preference for the bed? So in that moment, it really becomes about you asserting yourself and you having a personal preference. Something as tiny as that offends him. And if he doesn't get his way, he's going to be silent with you until you give up and go with what he's chosen. So in that moment, if you reassert yourself and say something like, you know what, I feel like that's important for me. I want to be able to pick the bed. I see you've picked number 1 item, number 2 item, number 3 item. Having the freedom to make this choice for myself is important. I really like that bed. And then the silence starts. He stops talking to you for a few days, a week, a month, sometimes even. You know, I hear it all the time. It could last from a month to 6 months over something so tiny. So in that instance, the message is, hey, if you don't go by what I say, if you offend me by asserting yourself, then I'm going to stop talking to you until I get my way. In a way, it feels very immature and childish, but that's the only way he's learned to get his way. Through pressure, through manipulation, through emotional punishment. Now, I want you to think about this. How long do the silences last in your relationship? Does he take a day to recover? Does he give you the silent treatment for 3 days? Or a month? Or 6 months? The longer he does this, the more this is a sign that he's doing this as a way to have power and control over you, rather than just emotionally regulating himself. Because it doesn't take us that long to emotionally recover and bounce back. So if he's taking that long, it's probably because he feels so entitled that he didn't get his way, and he doesn't have enough empathy to feel like this is what I'm doing and this is really hurting her. So there's zero empathy there. He doesn't put himself in your shoes. So there's a lack of empathy. Or he knows that it's hurting you. He's not bothered by that lack of connection. That's not his focus. He doesn't depend on the connection on this relationship. Maybe there's something else that he thrives on this relationship. Maybe it's power and control. But regardless, it doesn't bother him. So he doesn't talk to you. And even if you're hurting, he's like, good, let her go through this. Let her learn her lesson. There needs to be a consequence. So, I mean, even as I say these things, I cringe. I hope your partner is not someone like that. But I've certainly seen people who say those things. I wanted to teach her a lesson, so I went silent. I wanted her to learn that if she doesn't do as I say, if she doesn't go according to my decision and my plans, I just wanted to see her suffer and learn her lesson that she needs to come back and trust me. So it's a bit, honestly, sadistic. So, I mean, that's the worst case scenario where you see some of those narcissistic traits, but I really hope you're not dealing with that in your relationship. And if you are, there's always all kinds of supports for that. But here's the thing, knowing why he's giving you the silent treatment isn't enough. If nothing changes, this pattern will slowly create more resentment, more distance, making it harder to reconnect every time it happens. If you want to learn how to reconnect with him after the silent treatment, so you can stop this pattern from permanently damaging your relationship and creating more distance, that's exactly what I'll walk you through in the video on your screen now.